Hey everybody, Coach Duality here, and in this video I'm going to be covering some of the more common mistakes that I see people making when they're working with flicks. So first and foremost, it's important to really understand what type of forces are created on not only this ball but your car when you're making contact with it. So when you're driving around along the ground, you can see that when it's on the front, it's pushing it away from your car and up. When it's in the center, it's just pushing it straight up, and when it's on the back, it's pushing it backwards away from your car. But what you might not understand, or just tangibly memorize all the time, is that it's still technically pushing your car down as well, but you can't tell because you're on the ground, and the ground's keeping you flat. So when you're going for your flick, and when it's on the front of your car, you can see how it just pushes your car down and away from it. And so what that's doing is not only throwing the ball too far forward, but it's also playing your car away from the ball at the same time, creating too much distance to ever be followed up. So what you want to do is make sure that it's not going too fast on the front of your car initially, and just use some boost to slide it backwards, or back across the top of your car like that. Allow your car to just follow through the ball from underneath. And that's an example of something I like to call a cross flick, and I'll give you a couple in-game examples here shortly. But you're just dodging instantly as you're moving around, and you're keeping the momentum of your car, so it's powerful, it's quick, and it doesn't require any real timing like mechanics. So besides those main things, it's important to understand delayed flicks and really taking advantage of the fact that I don't have to always just immediately flick like that. You know, I don't have to let the ball just escape from my car. I can make the touch and then follow up from my car by just boosting and keeping momentum with it. And then I can either side flip or keep flipping into it, or back flip. But basically you want to make sure that you're just playing that roof of your car the best that you can. You know, just use different forces to just slide that ball back and forth and just create a lot of power on it. So with that said, basically some of the other fundamentals that are important here is remembering the different trajectories that you're going to be producing. So besides the power forward that you're going to be getting from your car when it's on the front, it's not going to create a lot of height, but when it's on the back of your car, it's going to be just playing it straight up. Akin to here how I'm dribbling it around, and it's just keeping it straight up. That's going to happen if I jump below it too. I can keep myself just right below the ball and just keep creating some upward vectors on the bottom of the ball there. So we're gonna go to some in-game examples here, and hopefully you learn something from it. So enjoy. So here we have our first example of the cross flick, and you can see this ball coming down to me. My teammate is rotating back, and there's one opponent I can see farther down the pitch, and I'm not currently sure where the other opponent is. So because my teammate's rotating back, I'm going to try to keep this with me, so I'm not just handing it right back to the opponents. And now I know that the other opponent is over there to the right side, closer to our net. And because he's coming from that angle and I'm unsure what the opponent down the pitch is doing, I'm just going to start taking this away from him. And I see the opponent a little bit farther down the pitch there. He's at the half line now, and he's rotating away from my car. So now I know he's going to be turning around and getting ready to challenge me and just giving himself a little bit more space since he sees me dribbling. So I keep my car going over here, I'm setting up a dribble, and I'm working off these bounces from the ground to try to play the ball upward continuously on the top of my car. And you see here the opponent that I'm looking at, the one that is most important in how I work with this flick, is turning on to challenge me now. So I stopped boosting so that the ball wouldn't go too far on the back of my car, because I want to initially keep it on the frontier and just work on matching my momentum. And he's going to challenge, so I need to get some height on this as soon as possible. So I get my jump while this ball is still on the front of my car as I continuously turn into it from the left towards the right. And I start boosting now that I get that first jump up so that I can continue some momentum of my car and just slide that ball a little bit back across the roof of my car. And so I just want to diagonally flick this over him, and because of the boost timing there, the ball is going to slap into the tail end of my car, and that's exactly what I want because I want to produce as much height as possible. So now that I've successfully baited that last offender into challenge and it's too far over him, there is nothing they can do from that point. So another way I want to go over this is to run at the entire thing from a 50% point of view. So you can kind of see here a little bit closer in real time, just dragging this ball away from them, picking it up, and then throwing it across the roof of my car there towards the net. And one more time at 100%. Trapping the ball so I don't give possession back, taking it away, setting it up on front, and boosting and diagonally dodging through that ball. This is the second cross flick example, and to start off again, I am recognizing the positioning of my opponents. They are currently right next to the ball, with one of them sticking with it and one turning away. So my primary concern here is how is the active opponent playing that ball, and it seems to be he keeps just playing it off the front of his car like that. So as I'm shadowing, I know that until he gets it on top of his car, he's not going to be able to produce any height. So while I'm shadowing this, again I'm still checking, and because he doesn't produce any heights, I'm able to challenge this without any sort of dodge or jump. That way, you see here how easy it is for me to continue working with this ball. So I'm looking to see when my opponent is turning into it. Seems to be he's going to give me some space here since he's the last one back, doesn't want to overcommit. And I'm going to keep boosting with this ball on the front of my car, but unlike the opponent, just up on the hood enough to where I can keep dragging it. And I'm going to be boosting just enough to keep up my momentum here and add some speed to everything. And I see that he seems to be turning into that corner to grab some boost and then play the ball, so this is the perfect time for me to turn into it, do my jump boost, and immediately perform my diagonal dodge underneath the ball and play it from the tail end as you see here. Just waiting long enough for him to be just far enough away, and then it's as hard as possible for him to attempt to save that. So again, we will work at this from a 50% speed. Checking where my opponent is, keeping it on the front, but just enough on my hood there. And I stop boosting to make sure it's not too far ahead. I do my jump and boost, and diagonally dodge through it. And one more time at full speed. See, I'm slowing down there initially, so it's not too far back, matching my momentum, and powering through it. Flick this at the net. I mean, I could try to play it around to the near post or backboard, but really I just want to get in his head a little bit and try to draw him out here, and not just give him free possession with how much space there is between us, because there's basically a 100% chance that he would be able to take the ball from me if I flick this anywhere. So I know that, and I'm going to try to work with this a little bit slowly and just change it up from what he's expecting. So you see I'm jumping and boosting to get some height here, so he expects the pop-up and the front of my car tilted downward, as I discussed earlier. And I'm going to be slowly dragging the tip of my car up there, not too quickly to play the ball away from me, but just enough so I can do my dodge through the underside of this ball and produce some height. So I'm getting to where my hitbox will just reach the underside of the ball, which is kind of hard to tell here, but that is the technicalities of the game. And I'm side dodging under it, And just like before, it's rolling the ball across the hood of my car, and I have a lot of momentum so that when it leaves my car, it's thrown upward over him. So I successfully baited him out a bit, so he expects one touch and is getting another. And if we watch this from his point of view, he goes up to challenge the initial line that he sees and is thrown off by the additional height that was delayed. So, just like before, we will go through this a little slower again. Opponent is going away from me, taking it up, tilting back, and dodging under it once he's drawn outward. And one more time from full speed. Making sure that this ball gets to the front of my car first so that it can slide across, because I don't want it to just be thrown away from my car. So just very small accurate touches here, and I'm doing my boost when I'm jumping again, so it slides across when I perform my dodge, and there we go. And we'll just let that go one more time just for consistency's sake. So to give you a little bit of material to practice with here, this is one of the training packs I used most when first getting into flicks and then even working to master them. So this is an Air Dribble 1 ground pack from Iowa, who's Mason RL9D, and then you can see the code there to the right. But the first two shots here are actually perfect for both medium distance and long distance flicking, to give you an idea of how to set it up, give you some room to practice catching and then flicking the ball, and just enough space to really work with any type of immediate flick or delayed flick. So let's run into a couple different examples here of things I really focus on when I'm practicing. This is the first one here. So whether or not you're just learning to get into flicking or looking to master it, the first touch that you're making is incredibly important. So this will give you a decent idea of as if you just did a pop up in the air and how you want to be looking to follow it up. So if I wait too long, it ends up just going too far in front of my car, and then if I go a little too quickly, you see it just bounces up like that. So the idea is we want to keep it going with our car, but not too slow or too fast. Kind of just making sure we're matching the momentum and allowing that ball again to slide across the roof of our car in most situations. So even if you go kind of quickly, you see I can still just delay it by making sure that I still boost and then just delay my second jump a bit to incorporate the dodge. So here you can kind of just mess with the timing of all of that and see just how long you have to wait to do your second jump to complete the dodge, how much you need to be boosting, and getting able to roll the ball along the front of your car just like that. You know, that initial catch where you can really do just about anything with it from here, whether it be slow or quickly. Like that, and give you more room to practice carrying it like I talked about earlier, and get an idea for what type of bounce you're looking for when you're trying to get a delayed flick. Because when you see it's if it's too far away from your car like that, it can be a little bit harder to get that flick off. But again, just getting that idea of sliding it across the roof of your car will help you understand those different areas of play that you're able to work with here. Because if I go straight up, it's playing that ball too far from my car. So the harder I do my first jump, the more I'm going to be sending that away. So by getting that carry down for a bit and mastering that, then you should be able to get a bit more comfortable incorporating that slide across the roof of your car, and then working in a delayed flick from there. So that first jump is really important. Again, you can talk about how it's pointing the front of your car down whenever you're trying to do it, so it's important to make sure that when you are tilting the front of your car back up, that's not too much to send the ball back away from you. Basically wants to be just enough to the side or around the bottom of it to where the hitbox is still making contact as you slide through. So by rolling it like this, it's not going to be thrown as far away from your car, and you're able to keep it with you a little bit more and give yourself more room to work with those new ideas as you start to master the timing of the flick. Hopefully more than me. I understand the mechanics of this, and hopefully you can get the idea of what you should be looking for, and have those like specific things that you're able to practice when you're running through this. So hopefully those in-game examples help too. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you're looking for, anything you might have trouble with exactly, and hopefully at least something from here is able to grasp your attention and help you understand why you're kind of just throwing the ball away from your car instead of being able to incorporate the second jump into a dodge like that. So I appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I will see you guys around, preferably in the Discord. Feel free to say hi, so thanks.